Welcome to another episode of Kera Dangerous Talk. Man, you guys, you have to be living under a rock if you haven't heard about Young Thug, rapper Gunna, and the whole YSL gang, Young Slime Life, as they call themselves. They have been indicted. When I say they have been indicted, I mean these boys have been indicted. There's a 88-page indictment out on these boys, and I had to put a show together so I could break down all the facts and everything that's going on. So I do have a special guest tonight, a legal consultant, Mr. Landon White, who will be joining me. But first, I gotta warm y'all up a little bit because I gotta remind y'all the people that we're dealing with. And when I say people, I'm talking about Young Thug. Check this out.
Mike Brown, the Ferguson situation. What do you think needs to be changed in the way black men are policed in America?
Leave that up with the critics and the laws and all that old shit. We having fun, we iced out, we having money. That's how we doing it.
So you feel like it's not the artist's place to speak on social issues?
Whew. So it's all about the money. It's all fun and games, right? You know, when you hear people talk like that, it's like don't draft me as one of the people to wear free this person shirts, because when life was all grand, you only cared about yourself. You didn't care about speaking out on important issues that concern black people as a whole. All you were worried about is your slime life. You know, I feel bad for anybody that's facing a lot of time, but when you're not humble and you have a certain attitude, it's kind of hard for people to want to wear free me and do this type of gear for you. No, thank you. But when you hear something like that, you got to bring in Tupac, right? Because Tupac was that artist who, even though he had this kind of thug image, which some people say was made up, but he had that thug life image, he still was very much about speaking about social issues and things that impacted brown people, black people.
So you feel like it's not the artist's place to speak on social issues?
No.
How can these people be talking about how they so real and they don't care about our communities? How can they be talking about what they, all this, the hood, blah, 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 blah. They don't care about our communities. You know what I mean? Listen to the words that people say in their lyrics and tell me if that's if that's real to you. You know what I mean? Listen to what they saying. Don't just bob your head to the beat, peep the game, and listen to what I'm saying and hold us accountable for it.
Tupac still making a lot of sense, because you know what? Real lasts a long time. The truth never dies. I say that all the time. But let's get into it, guys. Let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Mr. Landon White, my legal consultant for tonight's show. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's just a little bit in the evening, but how you doing today?
I'm doing well. You know, no control over this breaking news. You never know when people gonna act a fool. That's what I like to say.
Well, it seems like there's a lot here from years ago that might be catching up with some of the young men in this indictment, and so I'm looking forward to kind of getting to it a little bit. It's 88 pages, I believe. Mr. Williams is named, I want to say 56 times in this indictment. So, but he's the big name, and when you're the big name, he's definitely the target of this indictment. And so we'll see. So, where would you want to start?
Well, look, here's page one of the indictment, and basically it's just going through the charges, correct?
Yep.
And I have to say, for me, I don't have a legal mind. I mean, I may understand a few things, but going through this indictment, it's a lot. It's That's a lot to take in, Landon. Was it? I mean, is it a lot for anybody? Break that down.
It's a lot for anybody, but a lot of times what happens is when you and let's make sure it's clear. I am an attorney that's barred in Maryland. So a lot of advice I'm giving is not legal advice, of course. I have to state that. But I'm just kind of, when you called me today, I said, okay, this is how I would attack it, right?
Okay.
And so, anytime you get someone's indictment or statement of charges, and this is an indictment, so this is pretty thorough, which means they've been looking into this matter for probably quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And normally when it's this kind of sudden, or it feels like it's out of nowhere, it's not. But there was probably an incident that happened that would have basically made the state's attorney or the prosecution in this case believe that, what, we have enough now, right?
Mm-hmm.
To move forward with this case. And I believe I haven't really gone through everything just yet, but I believe this quote unquote jail call or jail calls may have been the straw that broke the camel's back in a lot of these different allegations. So we can kind of go through it. Anytime I get a case, you pretty much try to go to the top counts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have conspiracy and you have racketeering, right? So they're basically the same. The only difference between conspiracy and racketeering is when with racketeering, you have to actually have an enterprise, right? So you see guys that, hey, you guys might sell drugs together, or you guys may commit a crime together, a robbery, a murder. That's one thing. That's a conspiracy. At least, one, two or more folks come together with an agreement. That's conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to enterprise or we get to racketeering, you have to have an enterprise. So there has to be some type of organization that goes about committing these crimes or committing two or more crimes in regards to what we have here today, right? So certain things are important terms of art. Terms of art, overt act, right? You'll hear that a lot in this indictment. Certain things I haven't seen yet, certain words I haven't seen yet in this indictment, but you'll probably start to see those in other motions, and we can kind of go through that as well. The word nexus. Okay, so what's the nexus to how did this crime match up? What's the nexus to this crime to the rest of the organization or the enterprise, right? How does this move or benefit the actual enterprise? So, you kind of go through the top counts, and they go through, the part 3 is very important, and acts of furtherance of the conspiracy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what they try to do is they basically say this is conspiracy, and then here are, this is the enterprise, but let's actual conspiracy, the acts and furtherance of the conspiracy first, because if we get this and we get enterprise, then we get the RICO or the racketeering, right?
Well, you know what? Let me stop you there and go into part 2 of the enterprise, because I want to give people the history of the YSL gang. It says here that the YSL is a criminal street gang that started in late 2012 in the Cleveland Avenue area of Atlanta, Georgia. YSL claims affiliation with the National Bloods gang. YSL's founders were Jeffrey Williams, and we know who that is. That's aka Young Thug, aka Slime, Walter Murphy, aka DK, and these names are a little crazy. Travayas.
I wouldn't even try to go. It's
Oh
it's
my
a lot
gosh.
of with nicknames named in this.
That's when your teacher be like, "Why did your mama do that to you?" Travayas Stevens, aka Tick, aka Slug, and Jeffrey Williams, an Atlanta-based hip-hop artist, made YSL a well-known name by referring to it in his songs and social media. Okay, so that's the history behind it. We know that's the group that Thugger has made popular. We've seen them here on a promo here for one of their projects. They even got the dog in the green slime color. And something funny that's been said is that they actually arrested the damn dog, Landon.
Oh yeah, the dog is in the pound right now. The dog is probably in the pound. Sadly, in the next week or so, the dog will probably be neutered.
Are you
So
for real? The dog really in the pound?
yeah, I mean, I'm not too sure what kind of dog it was. If it was a pit bull or whatever it is,
Look
but
like it.
normally, when there's a raid, they take all the quote unquote dangerous animals.
Wow.
Dogs, pretty much a lot of the dogs that we like to keep, pit bulls or whatever, and no matter what, I had a case where, that's pretty much what they do. They try to take the dogs, they neuter them, and then once they want to kind of give the dogs away, because they know that a neutered, full-blooded animal or pit or whatever your animal is or dog doesn't have the same value. And so, we believe up here there's kind of a conspiracy to kind of give these dogs away, especially since the whole Michael Vick situation. So I've had a couple cases where we've had to like fight for dogs to get them back, but by the time we get them back, they're already neutered, which is a whole nother, we can go down that road a whole nother day. But go ahead, I'm listening.
Wow, that's interesting. I know that's one of the funny things people were talking about on social media. But I think, Landon, one of the biggest things about this case is, like I said, it's Young Thug, it's Gunna, who's really popular. He has a song out now, Pushing P, that everybody's singing. Everybody got it on their lips. They just performed on Saturday Night Live. I mean, for goodness sakes, the two of them were just on the cover of Billboard magazine. And I say to myself, where is the intelligence? Because people have tried to warn them. And even if the people didn't try to warn them, why are rappers still putting evidence in their lyrics? When we
there's going to be, this case is probably going to shed a lot of light on, what can be used as evidence in trial. Far too often, a lot of rappers take plea deals. I know in Maryland, and I'm not too familiar with in Georgia, but some lyrics are protected as long as you have your business entity in place, and as long as you aren't descriptive in regards to the crime, right? So as long as you're not saying the street name that the incident happened, the time frame that it happened. In Maryland, if you put the motions in and you fight those motions, there was a court of appeals case that came down maybe sometime during COVID where you're fine. But so many of these young upcoming rappers don't have their publishing in place. They can't, hide behind the veil of the corporate veil at all, which leaves them open. However, in this matter, their business within itself is the enterprise, right? So that whole YSL is kind of how they're going to try to open the door to some of these lyrics. So, fighting this case, I see Young Thug or Jeffrey Williams, and first time I've ever heard his name before, which humanizes him, right? But on one hand, he's humanized by having a real name, but on the other hand, he needs to make sure that whoever represents him can truly portray what it means to be a young black male that comes into some type of wealth, right? And that black tax that goes along with being whether it's a successful doctor, lawyer, whatever it is, and he's a multimillionaire rapper, right?
So, well, Landon, you sounding like Method Man off of the Power book. Ghost.
Come on, man. Don't stop flirting with me on this guy, Darren.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying.
I had to hold back my smile on that one, all right? But no, I mean, it's just a reality of it, right? So I actually, crazy part about it is, because I'm so, I live this life. So a lot of times, a lot of shows I'm not able to watch, right? We got the new show on HBO. If you're a defense attorney with any salt in Baltimore, in Maryland, you've dealt with the whole HBO thing. Like, the officers, you dealt with them, you've had cases against them, right? I actually didn't have a good chance to watch the latest few Power Books because, you lived it. So I've had a lot of clients come up to me, laugh, joke, or whatever, and I really don't understand the joke because I know Method Man as,
Method Man. Well, let me say this, and then I'm gonna make you stay focused on Ghost Power Book. I just had one of the actors off of one of the Power Books. Method Man actually told Tyreek, who comes from a wealthy family, that they had to play the. He told him the way we're gonna set up your case is that you're just a good kid in school who had a father who came from a life of crime, but you're just getting swept into this. So what you were saying just kind of reminded me of that same talk, that same scenario that Method Man gave his client on the show. And Method Man is supposed to be a really tough lawyer, a top lawyer who wins a lot of cases.
I haven't seen the show at all, but if that's the advice he gave them, what people have to realize is that your jurors and even your judges, your prosecutors, and even some of the defense attorneys that you're going to be with, you have to understand that there's a level of humility, or excuse me, I don't want to say humility, but there's a level of the precise wording is missing at this moment. But those individuals that are going to be on that jury, those individuals that are going to be judging you, do not have any real association with anyone in your circle, your family, and they're going to be the ones judging you, right? And so you have to understand that there's going to be a level of giving some things away in order for you to be found innocent or not guilty, right? And so you have to humanize yourself in a way that they understand, right? So to say that Young Thugger can go around writing lyrics about, shooting people, they gonna die. There's so many people, and I've kind of gone through some of these counts to say, how many times your mom told you, if I didn't bring you in this world, but I'll take you out of it, right?
Right.
What the hell are y'all doing, man? I'll effing kill you. You know what I mean? Like that happens so often. But if you don't have the attorney that can portray that can be an issue at trial, right? So when I approach anything, I approach it like, okay, I'm going to go to trial, right? And so a lot of times when you start getting certain evidence, you really won't know what's in this until you get the discovery. So say like, okay, yeah, any attorney that sees an indictment is going to say, oh yeah, well, I would do this, I would do that. I mean, they're lying. They're just trying to get money out you for the most part, right? Which that's our job on one hand, to get money out you, and the other hand is to represent you. However, when it comes to a situation like this, you have to be realistic. This guy's a multimillionaire, rap artist. So when you go through his indictment, you have to understand, you have to look at it from the standpoint of, and we can go through it, right? So if you wouldn't mind, can we go through it?
Yes, I just want to. We got a lot of stuff to go through, but sure, go ahead.
You said 40 minutes now.
No, I know. I'm just making sure. But you crazy.
So like, right now I have the PDF of it, right? So yes. I'll go to the top. We'll put Williams in.
Wait, and I tell you, Landon, while you do that, I want to play everybody a clip because I showed them on the screen, a part in the indictment where they're showing in 2014 that Jeffrey, Young Thug, did put a little bit of, I guess, alleged evidence in one of his songs. But I'm gonna bring it to y'all face so you can really see what we're talking about here.
Last nigga tried me, almost got popped in Linux. Ask the cops, ask the detectives, they know all the business. Ask the cops and the detectives on all the jurisdictions. Ask the kids at school who ambition, all the missions. Gave the lawyer close to 2 million, he handled all the killings. Last nigga tried me, almost.
Okay, so I mean, he's talking about murder there, and what happened after. So I mean, allegedly, and they're listening to the rappers. They're listening to them.
I mean, at the end of the day, a lot. Let's make sure we clear here. And when did Young Thug or Jeffrey Williams come on the scene, right? So let's look at it. Let's look at his Wikipedia or whatever it's called, right? Hold on one second.
You guys that are watching, thank you so much. Thank you for joining the live chat. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments, and I'll give them to Landon. Also, go ahead and smash that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the Kera Dangerous Talk YouTube channel and leave us some nice comments on the main page. Hello, lovely stoner.
All right, so it seems to me that a lot of his deals, whatever, didn't come to fruition until sometime after 2013, 2014, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to say that he's, there's going to be a lot of, so on one hand, he has some attorney-client privilege, right?
Mm-hmm.
That just won't come out. On another hand, and what I mean by that won't come out, this can easily be refuted from a retainer agreement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, I paid $2 million. No, I've never paid an attorney more than $10,000, right? Which is a reasonable amount.
Mm-hmm.
Someone paying someone $2 million, and if they play that in court, which I don't believe they'll be able to play that in front of a jury, right? Like, so a lot of things we're seeing, they're not
Mm-hmm.
going to be able to play that in front of a jury. But we can kind of go into that part 2 or sometime after this, because we still have to get through the actual indictment. But yeah, I mean, certain things can be refuted easily. But once again, once you open the door to certain questions,
Mm-hmm.
stuff can start, they can go through everything in regards to, what has he hired you for, whatever else has happened. But I'm pretty sure his counsel is astute enough to figure out, what's going on and what doors they should or should not open. And this is, once again, this is too early in the matter. But, if I hired an attorney and I'm walking around an attorney and I'm, a lot of these attorneys, their social media, whores, just like the entertainers are, come to my office, drop off money. Let me see you showing me money off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And attorneys are really getting it. They don't got to do that, right? So it's just one of those scenarios where, how do I say it? If you're really getting on that level, you're not really messing with rappers, right? You're dealing with white collar crime. You're dealing with a lot of this Bitcoin fraud and everything else, which is which I don't think I've done an interview in about 4 years. Because at the end of the day, you got work to do. You don't really got time to be in music videos and showing off fake cars and fake jewelry, And
I have to say, everybody, and I don't like to see anybody locked up, but I can't say free certain people, because when you look at the indictment, it's all sorts of charges in here.
But let's go. I mean, I think the proper way to go through it is just to go through it, right? I don't think I'm at this moment looking at what I'm looking at right now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel as though when you get to a certain level, you can't let your guard down.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel as though they've received information recently. And I believe that, I'm going to assume, because I don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all the facts. I'm going to assume that young thugger Jeffrey Williams might have let his guard down talking to some of his buddies while they were locked up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not understanding that jail calls are being recorded, or understanding but not really understanding how people use them. So this is just some free game. Whenever I have a client that's locked up for a long period of time and we can't get them out on bail, I let them know, shut up, stop talking about anything. If it ain't, baby, I love you, baby, I miss you, don't talk about anything. Don't talk about, I'm sorry, I put you in a situation, I'm gonna get out soon. Why? Because it sounds like a confession, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some free game. Prosecutors normally listen to tapes right when you get locked up, anytime there's a big incident in the jail, and maybe a month out from your trial, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so a great strategy is to continue trying to postpone your case, but kind of postpone it closer to your trial date, so you can, so they can kind of listen to some of those jail calls, right? And so
Why does it seem like, and you giving great free game, but is it just me? Because that seems like common sense.
No, it's honestly not. And I didn't really understand, I guess, the strategies behind it until I got into my like third, maybe fourth year. But you gotta understand, you're not going to jump out there. I mean, I was a little reckless. I mean, I jumped out there and started doing felony jury trials. But even in doing those, you know, you're not going to get to your seasoned prosecutors until you start doing, you know, murders, armed carjackings, you know, where somebody can
No,
get.
what I'm saying is that why wouldn't it be if the defendant, Young Thugger, wouldn't it make? I just think it's common sense to know don't get on the phones and be.
No, because what happens is that they aren't thinking that what they're saying and how it's going to be used,
I
right?
got you. I
So
got you.
we can, well, let's get into the, you know, I have an assumption of how the YFN Lucci situation went down and the call went down.
That's what I want to know about because that's what people want to know, Landon.
That's too far. We got to start from the beginning. Can we get to it?
Okay, let's go ahead.
Let's 20 minutes. We got about 20 more minutes. All right. So let's get it. All right. So on page 13, all right, you have here defendant Jeffrey Williams, theft by receiving stolen property. Okay. Now, I have not, anytime I see something that's more than 10 years ago or close to 10 years ago, I'm automatically thinking statute of limitation, especially on something like theft of receiving stolen property. I'm automatically thinking, okay, how does this attach to the conspiracy? Because there's nobody here for the conspiracy, but they state associate of YSL. So it's like, okay, so how does this attach to the actual racketeering, right?
Okay.
So you do more of these. And so I'm thinking, okay, theft by receiving stolen property. You know, I don't believe that should be underneath the racketeering. However, when you look up case, what did you guys have it? Georgia Code, I believe it's Crimes and Offenses, Chapter 14, Section 1614.3 definitions. You go to Section 512. It says theft violation of Article 1 of Chapter 8 of this title. Then, of course, you have to go to actual title, Article 1 of Chapter 8 of this title. And yes, Section 16.8.7 of that Article 1, theft by receiving stolen property is underneath that title, right? So if you have two or more receiving stolen property for an enterprise, you could be under the racketeering, which is mind-boggling, right? So if you and a buddy start a business, let's say you start a real estate company, because that's like the cool thing to do. I'm gonna start a real estate company, but you know that you guys are receiving money to invest into your business, which is a quote-unquote enterprise via using stolen property and selling that stolen property. Technically, they can hit you with the Rico charge, right? Normally, you don't use this for high-end crimes, but what I'm seeing is that they're testing this Rico or these gang statutes on marginalized Black communities, specifically where there are, hate to say it, Black prosecutors, and majority of the city, the political structure is Black. However, who may be pulling the strings is not. So I'm seeing this in Atlanta now, but this happened in Baltimore City with the Black Gorilla family back in 2013, where they arrested 48 defendants in 2013. So they're testing this gang statute here, and I seen something that was kind of mind-boggling. Is why have they never done that with the KKK, right?
Right. I saw T.I. post that and some other celebrities.
Like, hey, that's real. And the RICO statute, to be clear, was never supposed to be for street boys or anyone else. It's expanded to that, but it was only supposed to be for high-end crime mob bosses that do they're patting everybody down to go in the back room. They're doing deals in back rooms. They have multi-million-dollar contracts with governments. They're walking into political your state politicians' offices and telling them, hey, give us this contract or else. It's for those types of gangs, the mob. Most of the kids are street corner boys that, because Jeffrey Williams became a multi-millionaire, Now he's a target, right? So, you know, I wanted to kind of go through this again. So let's start again. So that's
I would like to say too, and they aren't kids though; these are adults, and it's not that I'm against them, but they have some serious charges against them, and I do believe that some people are criminals, and everybody, just because we like their music, doesn't deserve not to go to trial and be brought to justice.
I'll say this: when you look at things in a vacuum, right? So you can you can never look at things in a vacuum of when you're talking about racism, right? You got to look at the different types of variables. So you're talking about young men. Yes, they are adults based on, you know, the age of 18. You become an adult, right? But we all know, and the laws are starting to change and give young men second chances or chances based on, they know that the brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25 years old, right? Further, you have in the world of business, you're considered a young attorney until you're damn near 50 years old, right? So yes. I'm 35 and I'm doing a lot of cases in trial with most of my colleagues, the gentlemen that I talk to every day who are still considered young. They're between the ages of 45 and 55, right? And so I think it's improper a lot of times for our community. And you can, I'm not judging, you still say that. You're grown, you're an adult, but I think it's unwise to put these young men who lack of education, lead poison, and we can go on and on and on to say, y'all knew better, y'all need, because it's
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that. I mean, some people naturally don't know better, but I just come on. Well, in fact, Landon, real quick.
Go for it.
Real quick. Let me show you something.
Kera. Dang, let's go. We're gonna go through this indictment.
Well, hey, it's all good. Let me show you something.
So you really did more time in prison than you ever did on the earth.
On the earth. That's why a lot of times when some of y'all young niggas, when some of y'all, you like, yeah, how much time? Like, when can I? When I'm going home?
Shit.
2073.
Cease.
And now all the gangster shit gone. The homies gone. The bitch is gone. Ain't nobody. So when I'm on there, I'm speaking from a place of trying to get niggas some real game. Cause I'm gonna tell you some shit, thug. It's lonely than a motherfucker in there. And when life goes on, your family dying. Like so, rappers, like the artists, if you don't want to be an artist, take it to the streets. But don't bring the dumb shit in the game trying to prove that you're a fucking real nigga. And while you proving that you're a real nigga, you going to finesse yourself out of position and out of opportunity that can change your family and generations in your family life.
You can't tell me with all the rappers and the friends that he got, he's really good friends with T.I., who's been in prison on gun charges, that nobody has given him advice about what he's doing.
Let's talk about this, right? So we can have this dialogue, and we only gonna stay on this for about 2-3 minutes, right? You just played a clip of a gentleman that took him almost 20 years.
Wallow
to get to that level of maturity, right? And this is, I tell everybody, if you ever get any time, talk to lifers, right? Lifers will give you perspective on your own personal life that you've never imagined. Nothing is, you talk to a life, they're laughing at you because, young fella, I'm here for the rest of my life. What are you worried about, right? So you talk about T.I. T.I. switch didn't turn on until he was almost 35 years old, right? And so you can't on one hand, Kera Dangerous, want to interview, say, hey, you know what, T.I., if T.I. wanted to interview, you would definitely interview him. If
He's one of my favorite rappers, but that doesn't, and I met him several times. That doesn't mean I don't think he's a knucklehead.
Hold on.
Because wait, no, Landon, sometimes, and I'm gonna let you talk, but let me just say this one part.
Go for it.
Sometimes people do know better. They just don't do better. And I know for a fact, well, I don't know for a fact, but I don't want to bring T.I. in this, but a lot of folks do know better. It's some stuff that I want to do, but I know that I don't need to do it.
Right. And so what I'm saying is, it's not just, and this, I believe, is a clear case of, like, I personally don't believe in reading this, that Jeffrey Williams did anything wrong. right? Outside of being a young man that's from his community, that grew up with a lot of these young men, had money, had resources, and you know what, y'all need anything, I got you, right? And certain things are going to be said that can be manipulated and said in a certain way to a jurors that's probably going to be at least 7 white. Maybe he gets a nice jury in Fulton that's like, okay, we're going to tell you what we think this means, and you guys are going to believe us because his attorneys can't properly portray what it actually means, because you really need more time. You got to understand the culture, right? So let's just go through it, right? So here we go. In 2013, now you have to understand, in 2013, Mr. Jeffrey Williams is 22 years old. Okay. He receives a stolen gun, right? Your average young man is going to see, oh, I got a gun. Oh man, let me see that, baby. All right, let me hold on to that. Especially when you have a scenario where you have death, murder, destruction in your community. That gun is protection. Let's make sure that's clear here, right? So that's 4. That's the first part of their racketeering, and it's he knew or should have known. Now, I don't know anything about this case. I don't know anything about how Ann Phillips got her gun stolen, but I can almost guarantee they're going to bring Ann Phillips into that courtroom, and Ann Phillips don't seem like she looked like me and you. I could be wrong. I could be, issues of being prejudiced by her name, but here we are, a stolen gun. Now let's go to number 9.
Okay, go to it.
Now here we go. There's a situation where you have these rap lyrics or whatever. I mean, I'm going to move on. Great, they're rap lyrics. They don't really talk about overt. All I ever wanted was the money. Put your hands in the air if you dare any motherfucker to step over here, effing put him in that wheelchair, right? So there are no allegations that I can see that Jeffrey Williams prior to this date was involved in any type of robbery or someone trying to rob him and take over him, right? This is clearly lyrics. It's in 2014. He may have just started getting money around this time. And so when you start getting money in a certain neighborhood, you have to protect, you have to avert not something for your conspiracy, but you have to avert certain type of protection, certain type of toughness to protect yourself, right? This is something that most individuals that don't look like us that have money don't understand, right? Like, for the most part, I don't wear my best suits outside of actual trial, right? I'm wearing regular bummy suits. I keep it moving. I present myself in a certain way, but when trial comes, I gotta look like money, right? But on my regular day-to-day, what's up, fella? How y'all doing? We moving and shaking because it's a scenario where I'm not trying to portray like I got all this type of funds. I've purposely actually stayed out of the news for the last 3 to 4 years for that, right? And so let's go down to number 14. All right. Jeffrey Williams, an associate of YSL, did pose for a photo release on social media. Now, there are too many parents that are allowing their sons and daughters to pose in pictures and anything else and do little hand signals on the basketball court, throws hand signals up to present that this is any type of criminal activity. Now, is he representing where he's from? We all know at the end of the day, where you from is probably a street name or a block in certain community that you represent, and it's something that you grew up in, not something that's supposed to be presented like it's the mob, right?
Look, you over there talking like a lawyer, because they were throwing gang signs. So I mean, but okay.
Hold on. But we all know that those gang signs come from where? Come from your community. It's not a situation where he's from, I don't know, with a wealthy Buckhead type of community where he went.
What you're saying.
These are guys he would be throwing up them signs if he was, the football player from that community that went off and went to the NFL, right?
Okay, yeah.
Something you're doing when you're 8 years old, you're 9 years old. And you can't tell me that he wasn't doing it at 8, 9 years old, because I see the middle class white kids doing the same thing on these 7-on-7 football drills, right? They're doing the same hand signals, the same slime, throwing it up, YSL. This is what we do. But let's get to some of the more serious allegations, okay?
Well, it's one that it's a couple that for this show that I gotta cover. So we won't worry about breaking down.
I'm getting to straight into the one that I really want to get into, right?
Okay, go ahead.
On 1/7/2015, Jeffrey Williams, an associate of YSL, did rent a 2014 silver Q50. Okay. They made sure they stated that which was used in the commission of a murder of Donovan Thomas Jr., a rival gang member, on the 10th day of January 2015. Right?
I have it right here.
So I don't know what's going on. I'm not doing research. I don't know if an album came out. If an album came out 6 months later, a lot of times you're doing that music before. The next one, they go into this murder that happened of this Donovan Thomas Jr., right? On 17th. Okay. My issue with this is, if you're making money, you're the main breadwinner in your crew. Okay. And you go run a vehicle. It's nothing to give your boys the keys. Hey man, go ahead, go for a day. This is not something. He didn't rent this car on that day. It wasn't 12 hours later. It wasn't 24. It wasn't 48. You know, I'm not bad at math, but it was over 70 hours later that this incident happened, right? There's no text messages in regards to some type of, hey man, I need this car for this murder. We don't know how he decided to give these guys this car, right? If any of these gentlemen say, man, we just took the car, Thug ain't had nothing to do with that, and just lay on the sword, it is what it is. But will they do that?
They're gonna have to do that probably, or they're gonna get hurt.
I mean, that's what you say, but it seems like they literally locked up everybody in the conspiracy, and I don't know if any of these guys are getting out anytime soon, right? But let's
well, that's what I wanted to ask you too, because people immediately, all I heard on social media was Rico, and once they hit you with the Rico, you're not getting out. Is that true?
Yeah, the Rico is when you're talking about, you know, when you do a bail hearing. Bail hearings, for the most part across the board, are under two basic qualifications: is the danger of the crime, the nature of the crime, and whether you're a danger to the community, right? So nature of the crime, danger to the community, that kind of goes hand in hand, and whether you're a flight risk, right? The issue with Thug is going to be he makes so much money that he might be a flight risk. Now, when he, in regards to flight risk, he can say, not only will I hire, you know, not only will I go on home monitoring, but I'll hire a 24/7 security, you know, detail that the government hires, and I'll pay them to watch over me, right? So they'll know that I won't leave. I won't go on a private jet, right? Danger to the community, if the allegations are true, and a lot of times, sadly, and I think this needs to change, a judge has to take the charges, at least where we are in Maryland. A judge has to take the charges on what's on the paper. So no matter how badly this is written, whether it's an officer with a statement of charges or an indictment, the judge has to say, okay, I have to take the charges as they're written. So anything that basically it says it makes this connection, I have to allow them to make that, you know, to make those jumps into the theories or jumps into the case, right? So Thugger should be able to potentially argue that, but when anytime it's Rico, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be hard for you to come home, especially when it seems as though he's the main target of the one. However, he has a shot. I don't really know what his criminal record is. If he has any type of criminal record, it's probably a no-go. But, you know, if his record's clean, if he's shown up to court before, you know, and I try to tell guys all the time, hey, you know, you didn't get bail because of what you did at 20 years old. You know, you might be 32 now, but, you know, your record shows you didn't show up to court. Even though for traffic, if you don't show up to court, you know, they're going to hold you, you know, for a high-end crime. You might have thought.
Well, let me ask you this. Um, I want to get to this back to the YFN Lucci part because on 113 here, it says defendant DeMonte Kendrick, an associate of YSL, did pose for a photo release on social media, standing on the vehicle of Rashawn Bennett, aka YFN Lucci. Rashawn Bennett being the leader of a rival street gang, an overt act and furtherance of the conspiracy.
Okay, so YFN, that's Rashawn. That's Rashawn, right? That's what you're saying?
Yes, and this is YFN Lucci, and what's going all over the media is that Young Thug is the leader of one of the leaders of this supposed street gang, and that he took out a hit on YFN Lucci, who music I really like. So
No. So to be clear, if he has so much money, that if he wanted to take a hit out on YFN whatever Lucci,
YFN Lucci,
I butchered. Sorry, YFN. If he want to take a hit out on YFN, and actually I do like his music myself too, he would have been put that out right now. For I believe I'm not sure if he's on PC or protective custody or not. I believe that's what they stated.
Well, YFN Lucci and actually Young Thugger, I read, are actually in the same jail right now. So I don't know if that'll cause any problems either.
Yeah, no, when you get locked up the first couple of days, you're just trying to figure out everything, right? You're not really trying to, you're not really trying to. You're trying to figure out, okay, who's loyal to you, who may, you're reading the indictment. You're trying to figure out what's going on. Now we have the indictment. We don't even know if they still have it or not yet, right? So they should, but sometimes indictments are sealed until they arrest everybody, and I'm not too sure when they arrested the last person. But obviously Gunna is still, I believe, hasn't turned himself in just yet. And
no, they have Gunna too now.
okay.
What I read, but I want to tie this into something else because I just said.
Tied in. You trying to take me all the way to 113 tied in.
Well, no, Landon, because I have to direct this show and we only got a little bit of time and I got to get the biggest news out first. And, because that's what people want to hear. So YFN Lucci, supposed hit allegedly, but I find it funny that YFN Lucci dated Lil Wayne's daughter. Okay. And they have some alleged involvement with trying to hurt him. But also another person in this YSL gang supposedly is the people who shot Lil Wayne's tour bus years ago. Because if we remember, Lil Wayne had a beef with Young Thug because he was getting a little too close to Baby, okay, who is Lil Wayne's mentor slash pretend dad.
With the editing skills, go ahead. I'm watching. Go ahead.
And so this is I saw this online. It says YSL artist Yak Gotti is reportedly being investigated for standing on YFN Lucci's car back in 2020. So that was the guy for that. But then again, like I just said, because of Young Thug's relationship with Baby, that caused some beef when he first came out into the rap game, because a lot of people felt like Young Thug was copying Lil Wayne's style in different ways. And so what we got at the end of this beef was a shot up tour bus. So this is also inside that indictment, which I lost the part to show everybody, but that's in there as well.
Right.
Okay, I'm done. There you go, Landon.
No, so I mean, even that, like, something happened in the last few hours where, last few months where they felt as though they have something. I believe. Thank you, Sly Philly. I didn't know if you turned himself in, and that was a smart move. You turn yourself in. That shows you aren't a flight risk when you do turn yourself in. However, let me move on in regards to the YFN and situation. There's an incident happened in the jail. We talked about earlier how prosecutors will listen to right when you go in right before your trial, and if there's any major incident within the jail, right? Because what happens is, oh, so and so got killed, or someone gets stabbed up, or something happens. Guys are running to the phone, scared, or man, I got to get out of here. Come get me. Call that prosecutor. I want to talk to him. I can't believe this guy got stabbed in front of my face. Whatever it is, right? So they know you talking around that time frame. Something probably happened, or whoever did it probably called, and they do have a beef. But Young Thugger probably wasn't worried about that anymore. He's moved on. He's doing bigger and better things. Like, as you say, he just came off a few months ago, the $1 million worth of game. And he just bailed some folks out. You can see he's starting to turn that leaf. And they probably called him like, hey, man, we got him. Guys not knowing that he's not caring about that, whatever. And a lot of times, instead of saying, no, we're not dealing with that. What are you doing? Leave that alone. Which he does again. He says in one of them, he says something in regards to send that car back or I'll kill you. Like your mom would say, dad would say, right? Like, what are y'all doing? I'll kill you if you do that, right? In this situation, somebody probably called him from the jail. A lot of times when guys call you, you want to big them up. You want to make sure that they know that you have their back and you're confident in what they do. And that having that back, man, hey man, we got this YFN Lucci guy. Yeah, man, we about to go do him, man. Man, man, do what y'all got to do, man. But that in a vacuum is all they need to say you gave somebody the green light within the prison yard, right?
Got you.
And so, I don't, he's probably had multiple times to go after it. And then also what happens is, if I have a beef with somebody and you're in my crew, sometimes your guys in your crew won't give it up, even though you stopped caring about it. Right?
Now that's true.
So, that whole standing on top of your car or of an enemy's car, like, Thug probably didn't care about that. And when it went away,
that is true. That is true.
This happens, but we know this happens, right? It's probably people you don't speak to. The next thing you know, you see your friend speaking to him. It's like, hold up, why are you speaking to him? I'm not speaking to him because you weren't speaking to him, but now you speaking to him. Like, what's going on? So, it's a lot of that goes on within the different communities, and I believe that it was probably a jail call. I believe that they don't really have much, but now with that jail call, it's like, all right, we got enough to put some pressure on these guys, right?
What jail call are you referring to? Because I didn't know. Like,
let me. There's an alleged. How do I say this? There's no jail call. There's nothing in here that says in regards to that. But I believe the fact that they're saying that there was some type of green light given, that he had something to do with YFN's murder, or excuse me, not murder. I don't want to put that on. Let me knock on some wood.
Please, my goodness, his alleged hit.
What happens is that they have some type of intel about this alleged hit, and honestly, it might not even. And sometimes it's not even you. Sometimes it's a jail call between somebody else and your crew and their partner. Yeah, man, that beef that Slime had a couple years back. Yeah, that beef. Yeah, man, we took care of that. We took care of Shorty. Like, it's literally that simple. And it might have been a beef, as we talked about, when you're a young man. It might have been a beef that happened when he was 23, 24 years old. And so sometimes when we're in these spotlights of being older, we look back on it's like, why would you do that? Not understanding that you can turn the corner. You are able to have a second chance. And that's what a lot of times defense attorneys do, right? A lot of times it's not really about innocence or guilt, because there are a lot of innocent people in jail, right? But for the ones that are guilty, it's all outdoors. A lot of times it's about giving them a second chance, especially when they've started turning the corner in their life. So, no, I can't, Didi, I can't say there's a snitch there. I won't say that. I'll say that there's a a lot of times people are talking on phones, they're pillow talking and not understanding that this is what happens. Like literally, you got guys that have started, oh yeah, we about to start a code. Like after the process, they have whole units on, we're going to hire people just to listen to jail calls, right?
But that's what I'm saying, Landon. I mean, do people not watch Lifetime or the forensic shows? I mean, some of
A
these
lot,
black
a
criminals
lot of
are just not smart. They
a,
tell you what they look for. I mean,
a lot of guys honestly think they're smarter than the system. And what
yeah.
they don't realize is the system is truly set up against you. Hold on a second. There, I'm over.
Yeah, there are gonna be multiple RICO cases because the hip hop rappers, they're being dumb and they still putting it in their music. Like that guy Mello, what's his name? He had some letters in front of his name. Then Mello, he's locked up because he told about how he killed
Oh
the
yeah,
guy he killed. He talked about the whole thing, and they got his ass locked up. And
yeah.
don't ask me to wear a free him shirt because he's an idiot and he deserves to be in there. If you're gonna do the crime, at least be smart about it.
You're a tough cookie. I mean,
I'm not a tough cookie, but I mean, yeah, there are some people that don't know. But in this information age, you're gonna have to be living on the rock. Young
Kara,
Thug and them, they are around rappers who have been to prison. And it's like, do they not have eyes? Do they not have ears? Do they not have lips? Are they ignorant to what's going on around them? If they didn't have nobody to whisper in their ear, they still had eyes to see people getting locked up. And don't get me wrong, I get it that there is a curve for maturity, but
well, and the maturity part of it is right. The maturity part of it is understanding when you're putting yourself in situations that may be considered criminal, right? Because Kara, I'm nervous. You get on the jury, you putting everybody away. Like,
because I'm sick of you about to make me say the N word. I'm
okay.
sick of Negroes being stupid. Like that's like when they date
But
a white woman and the white woman cries wolf and they like, oh my God, I didn't know she'll do this. Did you not know your history?
but here we
And I know
are.
that's a wild example, but I'm just taking
No,
it
no,
there.
no, no. It's realistic, but you have to
It's
understand
real.
being stupid doesn't mean that they're guilty, though, right? And so what happens is too often, I find too often, you have men and women that are like us, that are middle class, right? Middle class and going upwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have this perspective that you have. So there are way more people sitting on the jury like you than there are that have the perspective like me that talk to these young men and have seen innocent men go to prison, right? And so hold on. So what happens is there are so many people putting there. So when you have 9 white folks and 2 black and then 1 Hispanic or we don't know what they are on that jury, right? But then the black jurors are looking at things in a vacuum of putting things in the case that shouldn't be in the case, i.e., emotions of 1, I'm tired of crime, which should not be in your case. 2, they should have known better, should not be in your case, right? Should not be in your mindset. It should only be the facts. Because on the other side, I've had a white juror tell me I would believe an officer if he told me the sky was purple, right? So you got the other flip side where the people that should be fighting for our community, they don't understand it until their children get wrapped up in the system, right? So it's sad that it's going to take someone like you, and I'm not saying you, but let's say someone that's similar to you, is going to take their child, because what people have to understand is this. Everybody in Young Thug's camp, if this would have happened in 2010, 2011, there's nobody in that camp more than likely that could afford a private attorney. 99% of these guys have public defenders, right? So people see attorneys like, oh, these guys, we're slums or whatever. No, majority of our clients are middle class to upper middle class. The poor guys can't afford us, The kids that's squeegeeing, the kids that's out here selling waters and hustling, they can't afford lawyers. So it's a scenario where a lot of times people have to understand that my perspective is not from the poor community, or not from the dummy. My perspective from the dummies that went to the private schools and the non-zoned gifted and talented public schools, and they're the same ones throwing up the same signs, doing dumb things, and getting wrapped up and pulled in because the community or the prosecutor and the police really don't care about the hood kids, because they're going to get locked up no matter what. They're really trying to come after our community. And so it's just like, we got to watch how we say, and when we read these things and say, you know what, these people are guilty because they knew better. So that's all I'm saying. And but the crazy part about it is your perspective, Kera, is so on point though. You shouldn't be on jail calls. But on the other hand, you got to understand how hard it is to be locked up in a jail and to not get on a jail call and not to speak to someone. Like,
don't do it. They also say it's hard to not have sex, but literally all you have to do is keep your legs closed. I want to say, Landon, I love having you on here because you grind my gears. But I have to say this. I think I don't know if shortchanging is the right word, but I don't think you're giving me enough credit. Because let me say this. We've all done something in our life, everybody, that is questionable. I think most people have at least done one thing that could probably have put them in jail, if not prison, okay? But it's just time went on, or whatever. It's not that I have empathy for these guys. If I didn't, I wouldn't have this show, Kera Dangerous Talk. But the thing is, even though Chris Rock is a coon most of the time, I'm gonna say something that he said. Black folks just get sick of niggas. That's really what it is. And everybody who watches this show, I don't say the N-word like that. I don't just throw it out there. I don't even like when we use it. Okay. But I had to use it then. Because you damn right I'm sick and tired of it.
Absolutely.
I am. Because they see the reports. There ain't nothing wrong with these fools' eyes. Yeah, some people don't get the luxury of having both parents in the home. I get it. But everybody gonna have flaws in their life. Every single person on this earth, it's like everybody DNA, you have challenges before you. And you can't tell me that most of these guys out here don't know what the hell they doing, because they hear us pleading that they stop. Like all these boys in Chicago. It may be a bigger reason why they're doing it, but they know what they doing is wrong. Now, literally some of these guys, you look at them in the face and they look like living demons. Now, because once you allow evil to start penetrating in your mind and you start living that life, and the more you do, the more it becomes, evil becomes your playground.
Now, Miss
I am sick of them, because when it comes to hardworking people like me, I'm not from the ghetto, I'm not from the hood, but my family come from very humble beginnings, and my tone is not. I'm not upset. This is just welcome to the Kera Dangerous Talk Show. But what I'm saying is, a lot of black people didn't come from much. Okay, so let's start there. I didn't grow up in the ghetto, but that don't mean you got to turn and start doing all this crazy shit. Okay, you said that they need protection because they got money. Okay, 1 or 2 or 3 guns, that's cute. But when you pulling over rappers and they got 20 guns, AK-47s, they got guns that the military use to go to war, then it looks funny. And okay, rednecks, they keep guns. I get it. But to be stopped in a vehicle and you got dozens of guns, you don't need that many guns. I don't give a damn what y'all say. I mean, because who's after them?
You listen, in Baltimore yesterday.
I blacked out. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Listen, so I got two things, right?
Go ahead.
You can't say we tell them stop, but we have glorified their music, right? And so we've glorified their music so much that I do a jazz festival in Baltimore, right? And so I have Roy Ayers, headlining. Roy Ayers headlining on Saturday, and CeCe Peniston headlining on Sunday in Baltimore. I'm doing it because we need peace.
Mm-hmm.
And there's too many 50-year-olds that when they are stressed out and they're hurting, they go towards rap music. And we're not just saying the Biggie, the Tribe Called Quest. They're now popping in the Young Thugs and the YFN Lucci. So they're popping it. And we all know that our kids are watching it or listening to it, right? And so just the other day, there was 60 shots let off on a corner in Baltimore City. 60. So you say, who are they going up against? That's who they're going up against. So to say you don't need that ammunition, I mean, when somebody wants you, they want you. And
What
so,
color are the people who are going up against them?
oh, it's definitely black on black crime.
Okay, exactly.
But you can't say we gotta stop the blaming the blaming them. Yes, we can say, you're wrong, right? But eventually we have to start saying, all right, we're packing out stadiums for 23-year-old rappers that can barely read. Like, that's the truth of the matter, right? And so we want to glorify these things. We allow our children to glorify these things. The number one song during the pandemic was Spot Him with His Dreads, Spot Him, Shot Him, Knock His Dreads Off. I can't remember.
I made a video about him too, and I use empathy though because he was young, but what he did was reckless as well.
But hold on, but see, what he did was reckless. But now we have an entire generation of 3-year-olds to 15-year-olds. That's all they did was make videos and create content off of that one video. So if that's indoctrinated in their mind, spot him, shot him, knock his dreads off, right? When that kid gets upset in school, what's going to happen? Right? When that kid starts going through depression, what's going to happen? When that kid gets in an argument and now it's time to fight, and now that kid can't fight, and y'all in Georgia, y'all can go get guns in Georgia, right? Now it's going to be spot him, shot him, knock his dreads off, because your mom or your dad or whoever, your cousins were dancing with you, and we're 35, 40, 45, and we can make that transition, and we can make that mental not transition, but we can make the jump we have the understanding and the wisdom and the knowledge to say, you know what, when I'm upset with this guy, that beef is going to be over. I just don't have to talk to him. But now we got a generation of 4 to 16-year-olds during the pandemic that when they're upset with that person, they're going to shoot that person. We might think, we can talk to our kids and this will be fine. This will be okay. I think it's going to be issues coming down the line. Like, and the murder rate is going up. The murder rate is going up while our health care and our medical advances are going up. So how are more people are dying, but we have better medical advances, right? How are more people dying and we have less people living in these cities? Like, Baltimore has half the population, but the same amount of murders that we had during the crack epidemic. Crazy.
Well, let me say this, and I don't have the numbers and I don't have the study with me, but I did read or I saw somewhere that they recognize that even at a young age, down to being a toddler, that children understand right from wrong just naturally. And I've had people on this show. I mean, I've had New York Times best-selling author, therapist talk about trauma in the Black community, and I understand that as well. Some of these things are embedded in the DNA. But my point with saying that is, one of the comedians that came on here, David Arnold, I believe it was, David A. Arnold, he said that it was some things that he would do in his life that wasn't right, but he could feel that it wasn't right. I mean, even me, if I try to do something bad, it's just something innate inside of me that says, hold on, baby, think about that. Do these kids, as you call them kids, do they not have that in them? Because if they don't, it's
No,
making
they
me
so
think that they're innately, something's innately is going on with them. Because we
so
used to, even as black people, being the spiritual people that we are. I don't care what religion that you guys want to say you are or don't have. We used to have something inside of us that said, hold up, this shit ain't right, baby. Bring it back.
well, but see, that's the thing, though, right? But the a lot of that stuff comes from it comes from the music, like everything you talk about from slavery, using music for, using music for escape routes, using music to pass signals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's something when it comes to harmonizing, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
there's something when it comes to when you have demonic beats going
Yes.
over and over and over and over. So yes, we are spiritual people. We are people that take music in. We
Those
consume
songs
it.
become chants. We talk
We
about it all the time. They
we
it
love it.
becomes
And that's the reason why the drum was such an important part of our heritage and drums for war and why we had drums in our culture. But listen, we about to go into a whole nother.
But no, it's neat. That's what the talk is about. That's what this is about. I didn't want you to just come on here and we just go over the legal document. This is what it's about, Landon. Welcome to the Kera Dangerous Talk Show.
Dangerous, you dangerous, Kara. Now the dangerous of Kara. But go ahead, I'm listening.
So I did have something very important to say, and I forgot. But I'm gonna go to this, and I want you to tell me what you think about this video.
Yeah, I'm on that Hugh Hefner shit, man. If I ever was to have to go sit down 20, 25 years, the time they let you sit at home with your family, I'm bound to go get my motherfucking breast dead. I'm bound to get my titty dead so I can do my 25 year with hoes. Have me some fun, man. I don't get tired.
Just say anything ignorant. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I had my ignorant moments when I was young, but he's even over the age of college.
Young Thug was probably one of the most ignorant rappers for the first 4 or 5 years. We're talking about using sexuality and rape of other men to portray his thoroughness and hardness. I mean, if we want to keep it 100, like, this is what was happening. You saw young you had tapes of young men putting weapons to young boys around this time to have them, give them fellatio on video down in Atlanta, right? This is what was happening. It was in the music. And so, to say that now we're going to punish this young man he's definitely taken a turn. He's definitely became smart. His music has definitely changed, but we're going to now punish him for some things he did 9 years ago. If that's the case, there are a lot of rappers that are going to be in trouble now.
And that's what I want to ask you, because how fearful do associates need to be? Because boom, look at this. My mixtape dropped this meme that says official documents show feds are targeting Little Baby and 4PF after Rico charges against Young Thug and YSL. And let me tell you something. Little Baby is a big artist. I even love him. Southside, Southside, Southside. I mean, this brother is large. I have a document here, and I honestly don't know which document this is because I can't even read that right now. But this just goes down some of the people who are associated with them and some of the people I think that they may have to look into. And you can clearly see to the left there that it has 4PF, four pockets full. I never even knew what the record label stood for, but now you know. Oh, and while I can remember, everybody, make sure if you haven't already, go ahead and like this video. We really been bringing it to y'all tonight, so I'm expecting you guys to leave a lot of good comments down by the video. And also make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and tell a friend about Kera Dangerous Talk. But again, you see this, Landon? Can you see this document?
Yeah, I see it.
So So another list of names, and then on social media, they already making memes with Little Baby on it, saying this is gonna be Little Baby next time we see him. Obviously trying to hide, but he looks like James Harden, the NBA player, which people also called that on social media.
I think what's going to save Little Baby, and it's a saying that we heard a lot of times when we were young. Idle time is the devil's playground, right?
Okay.
I can say about when I see Little Baby is that he's always busy and he's always by himself, right? For the most part. So he's always moving. He might have one guy with him, but he's never in groups. And when you're in groups, when it comes to racketeering and when it comes to conspiracy, they can just pick off folks that do certain things. So when it comes to, when you watch Little Baby move, he's moving by himself, maybe one or two guys, but he's not too buddy with anybody in his crew besides, let's say if he sees like the baby, then he's buddy. If he sees someone else, I think Little Baby will be fine. He's always working. He's always traveling, always doing concerts. I saw him during Cleveland's All-Star Weekend. He performed. He came in, did his performance, and he left.
Oh my God, that is so hilarious. You know what? I don't know where Landon just went. I'm gonna wait to see if he pops back up. But in the meantime, I just want to say tonight has been a crazy episode. And guys, feel free to send donations to the show. It helps keep the lights on here. Cash out at $ Kera Dangerous. You'll see a picture of me there. So don't be fooled. $ Kera Dangerous. You can also always send me a super chat here on YouTube or wherever you're watching. If you want to support, you can do so. Guys, I really want to know how you feel about this in the comments under this post. I'm going to try to give you some more updates, not only on this case, but some other cases. It seems like all the celebrities are dealing with legal issues right now. And remember Jocelyn was dealing with something. Black China and the Kardashians, Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. And I'm sure I'm missing somebody, but it seemed, and then Pooh Shiesty, isn't that his name? He's going to prison. I mean, it's just, everybody's going to prison. It's like Oprah. You get a car. It's like, you go to prison. You go to prison. Pass go and go straight to jail. It's not funny, but hell, I mean, at this point, what can you do? I just want everybody to know, and I'm not going to keep saying it, but I want the best for brown people, but sometimes it just feels like some people just get excuse after excuse after excuse. I hope if I ever find myself in a sticky situation that I can have as many excuses as some of these other folks, because I'm telling you, some of the people that's out here trying to do good, and when they get caught up, ain't nobody really being there for them. So we'll see how it goes. You tell me. I just know I'm just thinking back about the beef that Young Thug had with Lil Wayne, because, his relationship with Baby got really deep and it seemed like he was the new son. And then we didn't know who really shot up Lil Wayne bus. And now we see in the indictment that they feel like they know who did this as well. And then you see that Lil Wayne's daughter, one of her, I want to say major boyfriends, because it seemed like this was her first love of her life, YFN Lucci. We also got Young Thug allegedly trying to take a hit out on him. Allegedly. I mean, that's just what this indictment is saying. It's just a lot of things that are just, it just seems like, is that too coincidental? Sharp King, transgressions are getting exposed on a high level. If I was any of these rappers who was associated with them, I would tread the waters very calmly. I mean, I saw T.I. post about the KKK never get a Rico charge. But if I was him, because he used to hang out with Young Thug, I wouldn't. I mean, I guess people can do what they want to do, but it's just people aren't using common sense. Stay off of social media with all your business. Stop posting every picture every time you go somewhere. We don't need to know everywhere that you go. The phone is tracking your every damn move anyway. And just, yes, gang culture isn't for everybody, but I mean, we already living in a society where they can see you doing almost everything. So you gotta, if you want to be a criminal at this age in the game, at this time of life, this period of the world, you come on. Oh, thank you, Tim West. And Rod Wave just choked his girlfriend. That was a couple of days ago. What is up with people? I'm gonna bring Landon back in so we can put a bow on this thing because he's down there. Yeah, and why the hell is a grown man calling himself little baby? We talked about that when Dr. Cleo was on here. All right, here we go with Landon.
All right, sorry about that, guys. I'm back.
Are you able to flip your phone around?
Let me see.
All right, there you are. Oh, Landon, let's put a bow on this thing.
All right, put a bow on it. So, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Anybody who's asking to send show donations, my information is right here on the screen. It's $Kera Dangerous, Kera Dangerous. If somebody want to put it in the chat, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes, Landon. What were you saying? Sorry.
Nothing, Miss Dangerous. I had to make sure.
Sorry, I got sidetracked. Uh-oh. Look, he came back and he still ain't right. All right, okay, there he is. All right, boom. Landon, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight because I think that we all needed to hear it from a legal mind. You were able to explain some things better than I could. And I hope you will come on again. So obviously his video froze, but that's okay, guys. I want to just tell you guys to make sure that you again like this video, leave comments, and I'll see you again tomorrow. I'm having Babs Bunny from Making of the Band off of MTV. Remember Puff Daddy? You remember that? It was crazy. Dylan. You just gonna do your taxes, Ness? You just gonna do your taxes? You just gonna use your anytime minutes, Sarah? Is that what you're gonna do? Puff close the studio. Puff close the studio again. Yeah, I want y'all to walk and get me some cheesecake. Remember how mad they were about that? Anyway, Babs has done great for herself, so I'm happy to talk with her tomorrow. But anyway, I'm out of here, guys. Tonight, it's been a lot. And again, thank you, Landon. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Peace.